Contrary to popular belief, in fact, contrary to any belief, overweight is not an individual choice, nor does it deserve judgment aimed at any individual. Our growing health crisis, stemming from our growing waistlines, is the result of a range of underlying factors that affect our modern lives, and in particular, it is largely the result of a deliberate and sustained cobweb of strategies on the part of business, industry, and to some degree government that take advantage of our human nature to fulfill their own largely financial objectives. The judgment, in fact, should be squarely directed at those forces which stand to gain so much from the people they should be working to benefit. While I'm suggesting external environmental influences are the dominant factor governing how heavy we are, we need to briefly reflect on our human physiology and psychology to grasp how easily we can be manipulated. The long history of our evolution and our struggle to survive over the eons leaves us with a complex mindset and metabolism which reward us when we find and secure food sources providing us with sustenance and energy. In times long past, we would most likely have been restricted to naturally occurring whole foods, filled with minerals, vitamins, protein, fibre, and a vast array of phytonutrients that we've barely begun to recognise. Along with these came a modest amount of accessible carbohydrates and fats that would undoubtedly have been appreciated and prized for their contribution to our chances of survival. Our bodies were rewarded with the chance to live another day, and our minds were rewarded with the great satisfaction of having cheated our unforgiving surroundings. This leaves us with a modern-day mismatch. While nutrient-dense foods with modest amounts of carbohydrates and fats are most likely very well matched with our physiological needs, modern processing and farming advances afford most of us, in developed countries at least, a seemingly inexhaustible supply of glucose and fat-loaded products. This is often referred to as an evolutionary mismatch or trap. While it was once advantageous to secure energy-dense foods, in the modern world, often quite the reverse is true. It leads to the frequent overconsumption of high-calorie processed foods and results in a progressive and continual growth in our waistlines. The current challenge has become a wave of overconsumption. Highly processed, nutrient-deficient and often relatively affordably priced foods put people in a very vulnerable position. While high in calories but low in nutrients, they tend to be physiologically unsatisfying for our bodies and consequently lacking in adequate nutrition. We are overnourished and undernourished all at the same time. We are unsatiated and quickly hunger for our next meal. We become fatigued and in need of more sustenance. When we are poorly nourished, we have less drive and less energy. Arguably, the greatest driver of this epidemic is the sheer affordability and accessibility of these processed foods. In modern developed countries, low-income communities typically have 2 or 3 times as many fast food outlets as higher-income communities. Citizen-powered action groups aimed at opposing the opening of new fast food outlets in their own communities struggle to fight back against the influence and financial clout of these greedy corporations, meaning that these profit and expansion-driven businesses, these soulless organisations, accountable only to investors and shareholders, and most pertinently, these purveyors of addictive, poor quality food substitutes prey mercilessly on the most disadvantaged and least empowered members of society. There exists a very small number of cities and countries around the world which have taken meaningful action to limit junk food advertising, but it's barely a drop in the ocean. It seems no matter what new government regulations are put in place, junk food companies will do whatever it takes to keep their products in front of our faces and central in our consciousness. Are we being trained to eat processed foods? In our supermarkets, a large percentage of the foods available are low nutrient density and yet high calorie foods, and the worst junk foods are strategically placed directly in the vision of children. You've probably noticed the candy-laden shelves sneakily positioned at children's eye level, specifically where they are likely to be standing for some time, such as in the checkout queue. Before children leave their teens, many millions of data points on their internet and social media usage have been collected on them, allowing commercial interests to maintain a very specific profile of the characteristics of each individual, making junk food ads more targeted to their specific likes and ultimately irresistible to them. Obesity among children has become an ever-present concern. Between the trends for children to engage with social media, watch countless hours of TV and video content, and also play ever more sophisticated video games rather than be involved in daily outdoor activities, children tend to respond to the very appealing magnetism of the more sedentary options available. How much of a part does lack of exercise, lower mobility, and our relatively sedentary modern lifestyle play in this overweight epidemic? Our mode of working has changed drastically from heavy physical labour in and on the land to sedentary jobs seated in front of the computer. This has considerably cut down our movement as we spend more time sitting. We often choose to take the lift rather than a building staircase, as the stairs can actually be quite difficult to locate. We shop online at least partly because shopping at stores involves unpleasant transport issues and even safety hazards at times for women, the aged, and those with mobility issues. Cities designed more for cars than pedestrians can have us feeling safer in the relatively enclosed confines of a modern vehicle than we might feel walking amongst the chaotic traffic speeding around us like swarms of unpleasant gas-emitting people bulldozers. After a long day applying our energies to an ever more complicated world, a quick and convenient meal is often a very appealing option. Even significant amounts of exercise may not be enough to limit our waistlines. Exercise is considered a poor weight loss strategy when calorie consumption is not considerably restrained to match. Many experts maintain that 80% of weight management is tied to food and less than 20% to exercise. And what chance is there of people exercising when modern demands leave them feeling so fatigued? What with a lack of nutrition and modern people's stressful and exhausting lives, the result is that people are simply tired. They work long hours on nutrient-deficient food, leading to inconsistent energy levels. Fatigue then leads to poor food choices, leading in turn to more fatigue. And so the vicious cycle continues and deepens. And yet, in this compromised state, they are expected to use willpower to overcome the temptation to consume easy meals. It is well established now that willpower is not an endless resource. Evidence suggests that willpower depleted individuals might be low on fuel. It may turn out that glucose dependency, which leads to wildly fluctuating blood sugar levels, may severely deplete willpower when available glucose is burned and the next hit of short-term fuel is called for. Either way, culture and opinion hasn't caught up with facts about willpower or how much free will we truly have. Even popular comedians are still getting it wrong. Comedians thrive on notoriety, playing for a laugh whether they actually believe what they're saying or not. We often laugh at jokes without believing them to be true. It's all in the delivery.
No one's creeping in to thin people's apartments and injecting their lettuce with 1,000,000 calories, okay? So they're doing it. They're doing it with their own free will, and they know that's what's making them fat, okay?
I think Ricky is very talented and insightful, but on this one, he's got it completely wrong. So in conclusion, I revisit my main point. Overweight people, for the most part, are, I believe, victims of the pursuit of profit taking advantage of an evolutionary mismatch. In part 2 of this series, we'll cheer up a bit and explore some possible solutions. If you've made it this far, then thank you for watching the video. I hope it wasn't too depressing. I'd like to make a follow-up video with some ideas on solutions to these important issues, and would absolutely love to hear your own thoughts and ideas on what some possible solutions could be. So please go ahead and use the comments to express your own views. I'll look forward to it.